Yeah, let's unpack this. We are diving deep today into something that could really reset the whole game for AI chips, the actual hardware that powers everything. And the reports we've been looking at suggest, well, a pretty huge power shift might be coming. So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward. We're digging into this significant buzz around a rumored partnership. We're talking two massive names here, Tesla and Intel. And this all seems to be spinning out of hints dropped by Elon Musk at Tesla's recent annual meeting. If this thing actually gets off the ground and hits its targets, I mean, the ripple effects across the chip market, across every industry, could be immense.
Yeah, and understanding the context here is really key for you to get what's at stake. This isn't just, normal competition, shaving off a few percentage points here and there. This is the big leagues. The super high-stakes race for who dominates AI chips. A market that, let's be honest, is currently pretty much defined by one giant player. And the disruption level being whispered about. Specifically aiming to cut production costs by, 90%? That's why everyone's talking about it. It's challenging the fundamental economics of AI itself.
Exactly. So let's start with where this buzz came from. Musk hinted, kind of vaguely, about a big internal hardware project, something leveraging serious manufacturing scale. But here's the bit that really grabbed us, the detail that makes us worth a deep dive. This potential partnership, the rumor is, aims to deliver powerful AI chips for just 10% of what the current market leader charges.
10%.
10%. It sounds almost made up.
It does. I mean, when you talk about a 90% cost cut, that's not just aggressive pricing. It forces you to ask, how on earth could they possibly do that? It's almost economically absurd, right?
Yeah.
And this is where the technical side gets really interesting. You can't get those kinds of savings just by, tweaking the supply chain or cutting profits. It points towards a complete overhaul, something really aggressive in the design or the manufacturing. What's fascinating here is the thinking is this partnership probably isn't about general-purpose GPUs like NVIDIA makes. It's almost certainly focused on specialized ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits.
Okay, so hang on. ASICs. That means moving away from the kind of one-size-fits-all chip towards something hyper-specialized for just what Tesla needs.
Precisely. Look, the current leader, NVIDIA, they excel at the training part, building those huge, complex AI models that needs massive parallel processing, the kind their GPUs provide, and critically, it all runs on their CUDA software ecosystem. That's key.
Right.
But this rumored Tesla Intel chip, it would likely be laser-focused just on inference. That's the actual running of the trained model in the real world.
Oh.
Think autonomous driving, the systems inside the car. That's Tesla's bread and butter.
An inference-focused ASIC, well, it's inherently simpler in some ways, cheaper to design, cheaper to run, and cheaper to make in the huge volumes Tesla would need. Much cheaper than a cutting-edge training GPU. And there's maybe a second piece that makes that 10% number seem, slightly less impossible. It's about manufacturing. Intel has absolutely enormous global chip-making capacity, right? Their fabs, including older factories using more mature, maybe fully paid-off manufacturing processes or nodes. If they can use those slightly older, depreciated fabs for this new, perhaps simpler ASIC design, that could slash the manufacturing cost per chip dramatically.
So avoid the bleeding edge costs.
Exactly. Avoid the massive R&D and capital expense of the absolute latest, tiniest nodes. They could get closer to that 10% target just by being smart about where and how they build it. Manufacturing leverage.
Okay, but to really get the scale of what they're attempting, we need to talk about who they're up against. NVIDIA. For years, they've been the undisputed king of AI hardware.
Unchallenged is the word.
They didn't just sell chips. They basically built the playground everyone else plays in. High-performance GPUs, set in all the benchmarks.
And you mentioned it before, that CUDA ecosystem. That's the real moat around their castle. CUDA is the software layer, the programming language. Thousands and thousands of developers, researchers, companies, they've built everything around it.
Right.
That software stickiness, it might actually be a bigger hurdle for competitors than the hardware cost itself.
So why would anyone jump ship?
You need a really, really compelling reason.
And that's where this rumored Tesla-Intel combo gets interesting, isn't it? It looks like a direct assault on both the hardware cost and the scale problem.
Exactly. You've got Tesla presumably bringing not just a design, but massive guaranteed internal demand.
Millions of chips for their cars, for the Optimus robots, for whatever they're planning with data centers.
That guaranteed volume is huge. It takes a lot of the risk out for the manufacturer.
Okay, but let's pump the brakes a bit. Skepticism time. Intel's track record lately. especially with hitting deadlines on their advanced manufacturing nodes.
Yeah.
It hasn't been exactly flawless, has it?
That's fair. They had struggles.
So doesn't that risk just, completely derailing this whole thing? No matter how good Tesla's design is, if Intel can't actually build the things reliably and at scale, why should we believe they can suddenly pull this off?
That is absolutely the million-dollar question here, or maybe the billion-dollar question. And it's why the structure of this rumored partnership is so critical. Tesla isn't just asking Intel to build some generic chip. They're bringing, presumably, an optimized design focused on inference, probably power efficient.
Yep.
And they're bringing the guaranteed orders.
De-risking it for Intel, you mean?
Exactly. Intel isn't being asked, as far as we know, to invent some brand new bleeding-edge manufacturing process for this. They're being asked to use their existing, maybe more established, reliable manufacturing lines to pump out a specific design at huge scale. It plays to Intel's historic strength at that massive industrial scale while kind of sidestepping their recent weakness, which has been getting the absolute newest stuff out the door on time.
Okay.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this combination, Tesla's very specific high-volume need, plus Intel's global manufacturing capability, it's maybe the only scenario where a direct challenge to the current AI chip economics actually makes sense. It's like a tailor-made partnership to deliver a specific thing at a price point nobody thought was possible.
Right. Okay, let's pivot a bit. Let's talk about why you listening should care. I mean, okay, the price of some specialized chip drops 90%. So what? The implication here, if they hit that 10% cost target, it's huge. It could fundamentally democratize AI technology, as the analysts are saying.
Yeah. Democratize. What does that actually mean here? It means breaking down the huge cost barrier. Right now, access to deploying the most powerful AI models. It's really concentrated, isn't it?
Yeah, the big cloud companies, hyperscalers.
Exactly. The Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts, plus some heavily funded AI labs and startups. They're the only ones who can afford to buy these super expensive chips, especially for training, but also for large-scale deployment or inference.
So the cost keeps others out.
Pretty much. But if the cost of the inference chip, the hardware you need to actually use the AI in a product or service, just plummets, suddenly that power is unlocked for thousands of other organizations.
Like who?
Think smaller university research teams, maybe regional hospitals try and use AI for diagnostics, independent car companies, specialized financial modeling firms.
People who just couldn't afford the hardware before.
Right. They could suddenly deploy complex AI without needing, venture capital levels of funding just for the chips. It kind of shifts the power away from just the giants.
And the source material points to a couple of industries that could just explode with innovation almost immediately. First, automotive. Obviously, Tesla's home turf. Cheaper, powerful chips could massively speed up getting safer, more complex autonomous driving systems out there.
And not just in high-end luxury cars, potentially.
Right, making it more standard. And second, healthcare.
Huge potential there. AI for diagnostics, for discovering new drugs, for personalizing treatment. It's happening, but deployment is often really expensive.
So cheaper hardware could accelerate AI becoming just routine in medicine.
Dramatically. It lowers the barrier to entry for hospitals, clinics, research institutions to actually implement these tools. And if we connect this to the bigger picture again, think about the ripple effect. If Tesla and Intel actually pull this off, it forces everyone else, NVIDIA included, to completely rethink their strategies. Pricing, manufacturing, R&D, everything.
They can't just ignore a 90% price drop.
No way. It basically sends a signal, hey, the cost of doing high-performance AI just fell off a cliff. That pressure cooker environment, it speeds up the whole field. It could trigger, a wave of new innovations, new partnerships as everyone else scrambles to compete on this new cost basis.
Absolutely. I mean, AI is already moving incredibly fast. But if the fundamental hardware suddenly gets cheap enough for almost anyone to deploy, the pace of change could become, well, truly exponential. It really feels like the stakes in this AI chip race, they've just never been higher.
Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive today, we've really focused hard on this potential Tesla-Intel chip partnership, driven by that frankly audacious goal, delivering AI chips at maybe just 10% of the current cost. We looked at how they might even try it using specialized ASICs for inference, leveraging Intel's older established manufacturing fabs.
Yeah.
Pathways that just might make this huge shift possible. Yeah, and it leaves us with a really provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If cost, that massive crushing barrier, is suddenly much less of an issue for deploying advanced AI, if that 90% saving actually happens, what kind of advanced AI applications suddenly become practical almost overnight? especially in sectors that have always been, let's say, cash-strapped or slow to adopt expensive tech.
We talked automotive and healthcare.
Right, but think beyond that. What about, say, city management, optimizing traffic flow, energy grids, or huge infrastructure projects, precision agriculture, areas often stuck with older systems because the cutting edge was just too expensive? Which of those sectors do you think might see the fastest, most dramatic growth if this partnership actually resets the economics of AI?
It's a fascinating question, something to definitely keep an eye on as this whole story unfolds. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.